I'm Angela Thornton. I'm the Executive Director. I'm fairly new, though. I've only been here about a month, so I've got a couple of my coworkers who are going to speak and give you a little more history of what's been going on here. But you've arrived on a beautiful morning. Enjoy this weather. I think it's going to get just worse from here on out as far as the heat. We have a lovely view. You can see the stratosphere just barely, so we're close enough to the Strip to enjoy it, but far enough away that we have our own separate identity here in Henderson. We have, like I said, a lot packed in this morning and a very special guest speaker, so I'm going to turn it over now to Gayle Hornaday, our Assistant Director, and she's going to give you a little bit more information about the morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for visiting us today. We have a variety of collections and programs around the library that we hope are going to interest you. So you may want to make a point of stopping to visit some particular things like our Heritage Room genealogy collection, which is in this corner right back that direction. We also have a new solar project which was just completed in May. And we also have a brand new local authors collection that our Adult Services Department developed and opened up just this past spring in March. And we also are very proud to highlight our Reading with Rover program, which is carried on within our children's department, so don't miss those. After this initial presentation here in the reading room, we're going to release you to just walk around the library and explore things at your own pace. As you go out there and look around, you're going to see colored balloons tied up and flying in different locations. And what those indicate is information stations where you can stop, and there will be staff available at each station to describe their projects and activities and give you all kinds of information. So please be sure to visit as many as you can and ask all kinds of questions. Questions are always welcome. Also, as you sat down, you should have each received a gift bag in your seat, and those contain some information about this library and also some gift items for you to take with you. But examine those bags carefully because a select few have a special gift, which is a gift certificate that you can spend at our friends' used bookstores, which are located in two separate shelving sections toward the front of the library as you came in. And any staff can direct you to where those are. And you can also shop there without a gift certificate, so feel free. Also, we want to invite you to stop in at our coffee shop, which is right off the foyer as you came through the entry. The name of it is the Authors Cafe, and you can purchase snacks and drinks there. And you can bring those into the library, and you're very welcome to do that and enjoy them while you complete your tour. So, enjoy your tour, and now I would like to introduce Joan Dallason, who is the manager of this location, the Paseo Verde Library.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. We're so happy to have you here at the Henderson Libraries and the Paseo Verde Library. My name is Joan, and I'm the building manager here. Just before I introduce our special speaker, I do want to give you a little bit of information about the building. This location, the Paseo Verde Library, was opened on August 24th, 2002, so we are just coming up on our 12th birthday at the end of the summer. The Henderson Libraries, we have two other main locations, our Green Valley Library and our Gibson Library, and then we have a location in our Heritage Park Senior Center, which is a partnership with the City of Henderson. It's a unique location for us. We're currently in the reading room, which is pretty much the only room in the library that we try to keep quiet. I know if some of you come from public libraries, they're just not quiet places anymore, but we do try to keep this room quiet since it's such a lovely space. In here we have our newspapers and our magazines. We temporarily move the newspapers up. You probably will see the rack of them, but they're usually down here. And we also have our circulating Nevada collection, which you can see on the left wall there. I've noticed a lot of you taking pictures. We get a lot of comments for this amazing view we have of the Las Vegas Valley here. It's tremendous and beautiful all the time. Sometimes there are rabbits and there's a hummingbird too. To the west here we have the Henderson Pavilion, which is run by the City of Henderson Department of Cultural Arts and Tourism. And to the right here we have the Multi-Generational Center, which is a place, they have swimming pools, track, gym, meeting rooms. That's run by the City of Henderson Parks and Recreation Department. The Henderson Libraries are not a department of the City of Henderson, but they do lease the land to us that the building sits on. This entire complex was developed roughly at the same time, so it's been wonderful to be in this area. We've partnered with the various buildings on a couple of occasions, so it's a really great area to work. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce Mark Hall-Patton. Mark is the administrator of the Clark County Museum, which involves running a main location off of Boulder Highway south of Henderson, and also a city history museum in Searchlight, Nevada, as well as the Howard W. Cannon Aviation Museum at the McCarran Airport. So you might see that on your way out and take notice that you will meet the person who runs that here today. We're so lucky, Mark has ties with the Henderson Libraries that go back to 1999. He was our initial board of directors when we formed our Friends of the Library, and you'll hear our staff talk about how great our Friends group is. So it's been a wonderful group that's developed into such a strong presence in a fairly short time, and he was one of the first ones to start that. And our Friends run an annual Library Tree Lane Gala, which is held in this library, and he's been our MC for that several times. But that's all local stuff. You also may know, if you've ever watched Pawn Stars on the History Channel, Mark Hall-Patton is one of the experts that is often called in for his opinion. So we are so happy to have him here today.
Yeah, that's me. I am the museum administrator for the Clark County Museum System. That's what I do for a living. I actually run the 3 museums. How many of you came in through McCarran Airport? Okay. Did you notice the airplane hanging over baggage claim, or the T-Bird, or any of that up there? Yeah. That's my museum out there. So I run that one. I actually came over and created that one 20 years ago. And then about 8 years ago, my colleague who ran the county museum retired. And the county was kind enough, and many of you probably work for municipalities and counties, and you know how kind they are. You know, if you've got a full-time job, they'll give you another one. You know, but they won't force you to take any more money because they don't want to affect your taxes. Well, that's what they did for me, and so I ended up with 3 museums. And then in February of 2009, I got a phone call from a production firm in New York who said, yeah, we're going to be doing a new reality show. And I'm going, great, reality television. And they said, yeah, no, it's going to be really good. It's going to be on the History Channel. Well, okay, fine. You know, that's good advertising. And I said, so what's this going to be? It's going to be about a pawn shop in Vegas. Oh, whoopee. Yeah, that's going to go over well. But okay, tell me, what do you need? And they said, can you tell us whether a West Point uniform coat is real? I said, sure, I can do that. I've run museums for 37 years. I've seen lots of uniforms. They said, can you do it on camera? Well, as you saw there, and if you've ever watched any of the shows I'm on, I'm up to 6 now, I have no shame on camera, so that's not a problem. And they said, can you tell us what it's worth? I said, no. And they kind of paused, and they said, well, let us explain to you what our concept is. And they explained the concept, and I thought it was silly. And they said, but all the experts have to say what it's worth. I said, no. You don't understand who you're talking to. You know, you want somebody to tell you what it's worth, go to an antiques dealer. That's not what I do. And so from the very beginning, I said, I'm not going to say what something is worth. I don't sell things. I care for things. People give things to museums so that we can hold them for the future, so that we can help people understand about their own heritage. And it took them a little bit, but they said, okay, fine, we'll try you anyways. Cool, try away. Well, we did the first filming in February of '09, and we got done filming it, and I said, okay, tell me again what this is going to be. And the producer was just railing on and on about what a wonderful show it was going to be, and it had never been on television. This was one of the pilots. And I looked at him and I said, do you think anybody's going to watch this? And he said, oh, it's going to be big. I said, fine, call me if you need me. I thought it was a silly idea, you know, which tells you one thing. I'm pretty good with history. I'm really bad with prognostication. Because they put the show on the air in July of 2009, and it immediately hit. And it became huge. I have now done 131 appearances. I've been on 30% of the shows. I also have appeared on American Restoration, America Facts and Fallacies, The United Stuff of America, Mysteries at the Museum. There's another one in there, and I'm forgetting it right now. But, you know, I've appeared on a bunch of other things. All of it done to bring people out to the museum. And by the way, in your bags, you have two gallery guides from the museum. Our current exhibit, which is in through this weekend, and that's on pied basketry of the turn of the century in the museum collection. And the other one was an exhibit that we had about a year ago called Lost Vegas. So it talks about all those casinos that not just have changed their names, but the ones that we blew up. The ones that we really got rid of. So, give you a little bit of history about this. But the interesting thing was the show hit. You know, I don't know whether you've ever been on anything like this, but it's a very strange thing. It's like being a librarian. You know, we're anonymous. Nobody knows who we are. We're those folks you kind of see in the background, or maybe, you know, deals with you at the checkout or whatever. You know, somebody's got a question, they may call the museum as well. But they don't know who we are. If you go on international television, that's going to change. By October of 2009, I've been on 2 episodes so far of the show. And by October of 2009, I was over in California. I was actually at an Arco station, gas station. My wife had just gotten in the car. My wife is a professor at UNLV. My kids were in the back seat, and I'm getting ready to get into the car, and the guy ran across the gas station and ran up to me. And he said, I saw the hat. I saw the beard. I saw the license. You're the guy from Pawn Stars. And I said, yes, I am. He said, I hate you.
You don't tell them how much stuff.
I've never had anybody in an Arco station tell me that they hated me before. So I said, why? And he said, why don't you give them a price? I said, I don't sell this stuff, I run a museum. And he said, oh, okay. And he walked off. And I realized life had changed. And it has gotten now to the point where when you come out to the museum, you often won't see me. I hide in my office. You know, if I walk into the lobby, I just take 30 minutes out of my day. I know I'm going to be standing there taking pictures with people, and that's wonderful. It's really kind of an ego boost to think that somebody wants to take a picture with me. You know, it's like, really? Okay. You know, I love the ones that look at me and say, you look just the same as you do on television. Okay. One hopes so. You know, though I did run into a lady one time who said, no, you can't be the guy on the show. I said, why is that? She said, well, he's taller. I thought, I'm this tall. You know, but that's all right. You know, it has done wonderful things for the museum. To give you an idea, in the last 2 years, our attendance out there has gone up 66%.
Oh, wow.
2 years, solely because of the show. The show is on in 151 countries. It is translated into 32 languages.
Wow.
Very strange when somebody walks up to you and says, you sound very good in Turkish. Good. However, I have been told that I'm supposed to sue the guy who's dubbing me in southern Mexico. He doesn't sound enough like me. The one in northern Mexico is okay. In southern Mexico, no. But it has really kind of brought people in, It has also brought in a lot of interesting and weird stuff. You don't know how many missing pieces of ancient Hopi, end of time plaques have been found on the beaches of California. I can tell you. You don't know how many do you know how many original handwritten copies of the Declaration of Independence there are? There's one. There's one. And it's in the National Archives. However, there have been 22 of them that have come into the museum. And people have actually brought them down. I had one lady fly down from Montreal with one. That's all right, you still try to be nice to them. But I wanted to, as well, and I can tell you stories about Pawn Stars if you want to talk afterwards. I'd be happy to. But I also want to give you a little history, because you're in Southern Nevada, and of course, this is our Sesquicentennial year, right? No, it isn't. It's Nevada's Sesquicentennial year, but it's not ours. And we actually have an exhibit at the museum that says "Welcome to Las Vegas, Arizona." If you want to see an exhibit about it, but just so that you know that you have gotten some history from the guy that runs the museum, I'm going to tell you the story of how we became part of Nevada. Now, Nevada became a state in 1864. Why did we become a state? Not because of the silver. People will tell you, well, because Lincoln needed the silver for the Civil War. He already had the silver. We were a Union territory, and he didn't have to worry about that. What he did need were the votes. So we didn't have enough people. We weren't well enough established. We didn't fit any of the criteria to be a state, but we became one anyways. And he got 2 more senatorial seats, and he got another seat in the House of Representatives that would vote his way. That was fine. However, the state ended at the north end of Lincoln County, what is now Lincoln County. We weren't part of it. We were part of Arizona Territory. And Arizona Territory in 1865 said, we don't trust the federal government. Of course, they'd been leaning towards the Confederacy anyways. So they decided what they would do is take a chunk of what was then all Mojave County, and they would create a brand new county, and they called it Paiute County. And that's where we are now. We're in Paiute County, Arizona Territory. And Paiute County, we had a county representative. In fact, Octavius Decatur Gass, who owned the Las Vegas Ranch, would go down to Tucson and was the person that went to the territorial legislature and that from Paiute County. Well, in 1866, the Civil War is over. The federal government says, Nevada, if you want, you can extend your southern border down to where the Colorado River hits the oblique line of California. Now, Nevada, not being really quick on the uptake, waited until 1867 and said, okay, we'll do that. And so they accepted this part. They didn't tell anybody living here that they were doing this. And so in 1867, the Army came in and they put a base or a camp down by El Dorado Canyon. It's just south of here. And even the Army didn't know where they were. They thought they were in Camp El Dorado, Arizona Territory. It was Nevada, but nobody told the Army this either. So, okay, we've got Paiute County, we've got Arizona Territory, we've got people here in the Muddy River area who think they're in Utah, and they're sending their taxes to Utah. We've got people in El Dorado Canyon who think they're in Arizona Territory, and in the valley here, and they're sending their taxes to Arizona. Now in 1869, 2 years later, the state of Nevada finally sends somebody here. Does anybody want to guess what kind of a state official would be the first one to show up in this territory?
Tax collector.
Yeah, you got it. A tax collector. A tax collector showed up here and said, you're in Nevada, you owe us 3 years of back taxes. And the people in the Muddy River Missions, that was the Mormon area of the county, said, no we don't, we've been paying our taxes to Salt Lake City, where we're supposed to. And the people in El Dorado Canyon said, no we don't, we've been paying our taxes, what little we pay, to Arizona Territory. Well, Nevada said, no, 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 you're part of Nevada. So they sent down a surveyor, and they surveyed the area, and turned out, you're right, we're in Nevada. All the Mormons left. They completely left the area. There's only one family that stayed, the Benelli family. Everybody else voted to leave. They wanted to be in Utah. They didn't want to be in Nevada. And the folks in El Dorado Canyon said, eh, we don't pay much in taxes anyways. We just won't pay you anything. That's all right. And we finally, by 1870, became part of Nevada. But the story doesn't end there. And when you're looking at Nevada, Nevada's got some kind of interesting quirks in its history. One of the ones that I like, and this is a great one if you're ever playing beer trivia or one of those things, and you want to make sure that somebody else is going to pay for the drink, you just ask them, what year did we change our state constitution to show that this was part of the state of Nevada? Now you might think, oh, you know, maybe 1890s. No. 1920s? No. 1960s? No. The year was 1982. That we finally voted to change the physical description of the state of Nevada in the state constitution. And why did we do that? Because in the no, not taxes in this case. Good idea. No, but in this case, what it actually was two murders took place, one in the 60s, one in the 70s. And in both cases, the murderer tried to get off by saying the state constitution doesn't recognize, because both of them happened down here, doesn't recognize this as part of Nevada, therefore Nevada law doesn't apply. And these actually went to the state Supreme Court. And the state Supreme Court said, wrong. This is part of the state. It does apply. You guys are going to jail. And oh, by the way, state of Nevada, why don't you clean this up? And so finally we went back to the people of the state. And in 1980 and 1982, finally we changed the Constitution. So you guys are lucky. You waited long enough. You're actually in Nevada while you're here. So I would like to invite you as well. You're going to have a wonderful time here. This is a great library. As you've heard, I've been involved with the library as a volunteer for many, many years. It's one of those areas, when my kids were young, this was one of the great places to take the kids. And we could sit down here, my wife and I look out at the sheep range over there. All these mountain ranges all have names here. And the kids, you know, they had their own area here and they had a wonderful time. It's a great library to take a look at. I'm sure all of your libraries are great as well. As somebody who's run museums in 2 different Carnegie Library buildings, if you want to talk about the history of Carnegie libraries, I can talk to you about that as well. But I happen to like libraries, and I think that you guys are going to have a great time. I hate these things. Sorry. You know, it's one thing if you're in the audience, but really the speaker, come on, this is ridiculous. I apologize for that. But you're going to have a great time here. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Yes, ma'am.
How do I get to the Heritage Museum from the Strip?
From the Strip, whereabouts on the Strip are you?
Paris.
At the Paris? Okay, what is that on? That's on around Flamingo?
Should I take a taxi?
You can take a taxi. That's probably the most direct. I don't remember. I would share it with a couple of people though, because I know that the taxis get a little expensive. But they can take you directly out there. We're out on Boulder Highway at 1830 South Boulder Highway. The address is on the gallery guides in your packets. So you have that. We are open 7 days a week, 9 to 4:30. It is $2 a head to go through, unless you happen to be like me and over 50, or happen to be under 18, at which point it's $1 a head. So it is not a problem there. We are closed 3 days out of the year. You don't need to worry about those because those are Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. You passed them, you're okay.
Is there another option other than the taxi then?
You can take the bus, but it's really convoluted. You've got to switch buses, and I never have quite been able to figure that out. But I have people coming out, and I know they can make it there by bus. But the taxi is the easiest thing. And like I say, we're open 7 days a week. I've got 30 acres out there. Just to give you a brief description, I have 20 restored buildings. I actually have a wedding chapel out there. Now, I don't do weddings. Understand that. But one of the things that you might not know about Clark County is 5% of all the weddings in the United States happen here. 5% every year happen in Clark County, Nevada. And the wedding chapel that we have, which is fully restored, and you can go in and look around, is the one that holds the record for the largest number of weddings in a single day. Now, between 6 a.m. and midnight, one lady, one minister, did 425 weddings, one after the other. Now, I won't tax your brain, you don't have to get out your calculators. That's 2.5 minutes a wedding, counting walking time. So we've got that. We've also got a number of business buildings. We've got the Union Pacific Depot from Boulder City. We've got rolling stock out there. We've got a ghost town that you can walk through. We have nature areas, walking trails, the main museum building. For $2, it's the last bargain in the Vegas Valley. So be sure to come out and see us. Thank you for listening to me. If you got any other questions, be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll be around, so if you want to take a picture or you have some other questions, I'll be happy to talk to you about them. Thank you.
All right, well, I hope you all enjoyed that. I've often said that if they knew half of what goes on in libraries, we would have a top-rated reality show ourselves. We're officially dismissed from our program portion. We do have the self-guided tour. Again, look for the balloons. One of the stations we didn't mention that's by the door, we're just this close to finishing up on our solar panel project on the roof. So by the door will be the station to talk about that. We're just waiting for some final approval from inspections, but it's in place and ready to go. So that's something unique to this building. Also visit the book sale, the coffee shop, restrooms are by the door if you need those. Also by the station where the Reading to Rover is. So feel free to enjoy yourselves. I hope you have a great time. Stop and chat with Mark, ask questions, take pictures. We're just thrilled to have you here with us this morning. I don't know who's rounding you up for the bus, so you might watch the clock, but for the next hour that you're here, enjoy and stop any of us and ask as many questions as you want. Thank you all so much and enjoy your time.